are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week. All right, PlayStation fans, here's some genuinely cool news. Sony just rolled out a new PS5 system update beta that's actually solving a big pain point for anyone who games across multiple devices. Up until now, if you wanted to use your DualSense or DualSense Edge controller on, say, your PS5, your PC, and your phone, you had to go through that whole annoying pairing process every single time you switch. You'd have to unpair it from your console, set it up on your laptop, and then do the dance all over again to get it working on your PlayStation again. Super tedious. Well, not anymore. With this new beta update, you can now pair your DualSense controller to up to 4 devices at the same time. Yeah, you heard that right. 4. And switching between them is literally as easy as holding down the PS button and one of the action buttons, like triangle, circle, cross, or square. For a few seconds, the lights on your controller even tell you which slot or device you're connected to. So, one combo for your PS5, another for your PC, another for your phone, just a button press, and you're good to go. No more digging through Bluetooth settings. No more repairing. Honestly, it's about time. For anyone using Remote Play or just bouncing between platforms, this is going to make life way easier. It's rolling out as a beta for now, so only some users in select countries will get it right away. But Sony says the full update is coming to everyone in a few months. If you're in the beta, watch your inbox for an invite. But that's not all. Sony's also previewing a new power saver mode for games, which will let supported PS5 games scale back performance and use less electricity. The goal here is to help reduce the PS5's environmental footprint and align with Sony's big Road to Zero plan for net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2040. The feature isn't available just yet in the beta, but it's coming soon, and you'll be able to turn it on or off in your settings, depending on whether you want to save power or just go full performance. It's a small quality of life change, but it actually feels pretty huge once you start using it. Okay, so buckle up for this one because it's messy. The Subnautica 2 dev drama is fully out in the open now. The co-founders of the studio are actually taking Krafton to court, and we're talking big money here, like a $250 million bonus that's supposedly on the line if the game hits certain revenue targets. Here's where it gets spicy. The co-founders are accusing Krafton of intentionally delaying Subnautica 2's release until 2026, just to dodge having to pay out that massive bonus. In other words, hey, if we don't launch on time, you don't get paid. Meanwhile, Krafton says, no, the game just isn't ready. We're delaying to protect the brand and make sure fans aren't disappointed. And it doesn't stop there. Krafton is doubling down, saying the co-founders haven't even been involved with Subnautica 2's development, like at all. They claim the current team is still hard at work, but those original devs aren't part of it anymore. So now we've got both sides slinging statements, gearing up for a full-on court showdown. Long story short, this is one of those legal battles that could set a precedent for how studios and publishers handle revenue targets, bonuses, and development timelines. Stay tuned, because it sounds like things are just getting started. Here's another juicy one, especially if you're an Xbox fan. Moon Studios, the team behind No Rest for the Wicked, just confirmed they're not bringing the game to Xbox first. Instead, they're rolling it out on PlayStation 5 and probably Switch 2 first, with Xbox coming whenever they get around to it. So why the delay? It's that old Series S bottleneck story. Moon Studios' boss basically said on Discord that they're a small indie studio, and porting to Xbox isn't as simple as just flipping a switch. The Xbox version means optimizing for both Series X and S. And honestly, the Series S makes things more complicated. So they're focusing on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 5 Pro first, because that's where the bigger audience is, and it's easier to hit the quality level they want. He had to clarify. No, they're not skipping Xbox entirely. It's just that Xbox will get it later. But let's be real, this isn't the first time we've heard a developer say the Series S is holding back ports, and it probably won't be the last. Remember the Baldur's Gate 3 couch co-op drama? Same story. The bottom line, if you want to play No Rest for the Wicked on Xbox, you'll just have to wait. Meanwhile, PlayStation and Switch players players get first dibs, and it's another sign that Xbox's hardware split is creating real headaches for third-party devs. Alright, let's talk about Battlefield 6, because yes, it's officially been revealed and people are already buzzing. The cinematic trailer just dropped, and honestly, first impressions are solid. It's got that big budget energy. There's fighting in American cities, a helicopter weaving through the Brooklyn skyline, and all those little nods to classic Battlefield chaos. You can almost smell the C4 and Doritos. But before anybody starts reaching for their wallets, let's keep it real for a second. We've all seen Battlefield trailers that absolutely slap, only to find out the final game is, well, not what we were promised. Battlefield 2042 still stings. That launch was a mess. Bugs, missing features, empty promises from EA, you name it. And get this, the technical report on Battlefield 6 is already dropping a few red flags. We're talking early worries about bugs, performance, and that classic EA tendency to overpromise and underdeliver. So yeah, trailer's cool, and the tone feels right, but that's literally all we've seen so far. Just a cinematic, no raw gameplay, no hands-on previews, nothing to prove they've actually learned from past screw-ups. There is a full multiplayer reveal coming later this month. I'll be watching that like a hawk, looking for any signs of actual improvement. But honestly, until we see legit gameplay, no dice. So enjoy the hype, share the trailer, get in a group chat, and talk about your favorite Battlefield memories. But whatever you do not pre-order. Not yet. Not until we know for sure this isn't just another flashy launch that goes off the rails. Trust, we'll talk about it again as soon as there's more. But for now, no pre-orders, just patience. Alright, here's one for the Hall of Shame. Microsoft just did a total U-turn with The Outer Worlds 2. You remember that bold move, announcing an $80 price tag for a game that, let's be real, was never a blockbuster AAA title. They basically tried to ride Nintendo's wave after Mario Kart World announced its own $80 sticker shock. But instead of cashing in, Xbox just ended up smacking themselves in the face. So what happened? They got hit with backlash, probably saw the pre-order numbers tanking, and decided, hey, maybe we don't want to be the villain this year. Now they're dropping The Outer Worlds 2 price back down to $70. Still not cheap, but at least it's the current norm for new big releases. Microsoft tried to play it cool in their statement, saying this was all about market conditions. Funny how those market conditions magically change whenever fans get loud, right? And get this, they even posted a GIF on Twitter of smashing the old price, as if it wasn't them who said it in the first place. Pure comedy. And honestly, this whole situation just exposes how much these execs are willing to gamble with your wallet just to see what they can get away with. It's embarrassing, but hey, at least they're walking it back. But now it's like, can we trust any Xbox pricing announcement? Are they just gonna change their minds every 2 months based on how many people complain on Twitter? Alright, let's talk about Nintendo and what's going on with the Switch 2 in Japan, because these numbers are straight up wild. The new Switch is moving at a pace the original Switch could only dream of. We're talking at least 3 times faster. That's not a typo, 3 times. In just its first month, Switch 2 already sold through at least 1.5 million units in Japan alone. And get this, that number is just what's been counted through the usual retail channels. That doesn't even include all the units Nintendo has been selling directly to fans, which probably pushes the real total even higher. Honestly, it's not super shocking if you've been following how dominant Nintendo is in Japan. They've got that market on total lockdown. What's interesting is that even with all the new hardware floating around, new PlayStations, all these handheld PCs, and whatever else, Japanese gamers are still all in on Nintendo. Okay, let's dive into this. Nintendo has finally revealed who's playing Link and Zelda in their live-action movie, and honestly, it's kind of wild. For Zelda, they went with Bobra Braggerson, a British actress who isn't exactly a household name, but has some gaming cred already. She's done motion capture for Final Fantasy XVI's King's Glaive, and has shown up in a couple of horror films like Renegade Nell and Sensa. So she knows her way around both fantasy and a mocap suit, which is a solid start. Now for Link. No, it's not Orlando Bloom, though how funny would that be? It's Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. He's best known for starring in The Haunting of Bly Manor and was the voice of Pinocchio in that live-action remake, which, yeah, apparently happened. So we've got a young, but already pretty accomplished actor stepping into those legendary green boots. The movie itself is set to come out in 2027, so yeah, there's still a bit of a wait. But this is huge for Nintendo. They're putting real money and real talent behind behind this, and it's their next big swing at cracking Hollywood. After the Super Mario movie made a boatload of cash, you know they're hoping Zelda will be their next massive hit. I just hope Danny DeVito shows up as some weird side character, because come on, that would be legendary. If you're a Zelda fan, this is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's not every day Nintendo lets other people play in their sandbox, so you know they're going to want to get this right. Let's talk numbers, because ready or not, that hardcore tactical shooter just smashed through 1 million sales on console in under 4 days. That's crazy fast, especially when you remember that on PC, it took them over a month to hit that same milestone. Console players just jumped on this, no hesitation. Why is this a big deal? For one, Ready or Not isn't your usual mainstream shooter. It's gritty, it's intense, and it's been a little controversial at times because of its SWAT-style realism and mature themes. There's no battle royale, no superhero skins, just slow, tense, room-by-room action. And yet, it's pulling numbers that a lot of safer, more accessible games would kill for. The devs even pointed out the difference. On PC, 1 million copies took 36 days. On console, just 3.6 days. That's wild. Even more impressive, the game is sitting at mostly negative reviews on Steam right now because some players don't like changes to the game's tone, but that hasn't slowed demand on console at all. There's clearly a huge appetite for tough, grown-up shooters if you get the vibe right and make it feel authentic. So yeah, if you thought the days of old-school tactical shooters were over, think again. Ready or Not is proof there's still a massive, hungry fan base for this stuff, and they show up fast when something hits right. Okay, so big moves on the TV front. Netflix just gave the green light to a live-action Assassin's Creed series. This isn't some random adaptation either. They've got Robert Patino, who was an executive producer on Westworld and wrote for Sons of Anarchy, plus David Weiner, who was the executive producer for the Halo TV show. So lots of sci-fi and game adaptation cred here. This project's been in limbo for years. It was first teased back in 2020. Honestly, it's almost poetic. A show based on a Ubisoft game stuck in development hell, just like half their game lineup. But now, it's happening for real. Given how hit or miss game adaptations have been lately, it's going to be super interesting to see if Assassin's Creed finally nails it or ends up joining the pile of, well, at least they tried. Either way, fans have been waiting forever for a proper live-action take, and now it's officially on the way. So, Donkey Kong Bonanza finally dropped, and man, this thing is already racking up the praise. We're talking a 91 on OpenCritic, which is wild for any new release, let alone a classic Nintendo platformer. GameSpot threw a 9 out of 10 at it, calling out how the game really nails what makes Donkey Kong special, like the pure destructibility, that feeling of just smashing through stuff, plus the emotional moments you don't expect in a DK game. And here's the cool part, even as part of the Switch 2 launch lineup, it doesn't feel like filler to pad out Nintendo's new console. This is legit a great game in its own right, up there with the best recent Mario titles. If you've got a Switch 2, this is the game everyone's talking about right now, and honestly, it deserves all the hype it's getting. Alright, time to put on your shiny silver helmet. Robocop is back with the unfinished business expansion for Rogue City. Now, is this one a must-play? Reviews are a bit mixed. It's sitting at a 71 on OpenCritic, so temper your expectations a little. IGN gave it a 6 out of 10, pointing out that while the main character still nails that deadpan Robocop vibe and the new cryo gun is super fun to use, the supporting cast is pretty weak, and there are some rough performance issues, especially on PlayStation 5. But hey, if you just want another excuse to blast bad guys and relive those 80s action movie moments, it'll scratch that itch for a bit. Just don't expect it to revolutionize the franchise or anything. Basically, it's more Robocop, and sometimes that's all you really need. Alright, let's get into the mess that is Wuchang Fallen Feathers right now. If you've been anywhere near Steam this week, you've probably seen the review bombs dropping like meteors. Gamers are pissed, and honestly, it's hard to blame them. The game launched with performance so rough that unless you're running a beast of a PC, you're basically guaranteed a slideshow instead of a Souls-like. We're talking about stuttering, frame drops, crashes, and just generally awful optimization, especially for anyone not running a top-tier GPU. And gamers did what gamers do. The reviews tanked straight to mostly negative on Steam within hours. You know it's bad when even the publisher comes out with an apology and a please stick with us, we'll fix it statement on day 2. Leansy, the devs, scrambled and pushed out patch 1.3 basically overnight, aiming to fix the worst issues. This update is all about squeezing better performance out of lower-end PCs, VRAM optimization, memory tweaks for textures, and limiting super sampling so people's rigs don't get melted. Their goal? More stability, fewer crashes, and hopefully way less stutter. But the tech stuff wasn't the only headache. People were also mad about weird pricing issues in some countries, and deluxe editions weren't even giving buyers their extra rewards. To patch things up, the devs said, hey, free soundtrack for everyone who bought the game, our bad. And just to prove they're actually listening, the patch even nerfed that notorious landmine section in Chapter 2. Fewer bombs, less damage, making that part of the game less like a rage quit simulator. So where's it at now? Honestly, it's too early to tell. The game is still a top seller, so there's obviously hype and people want to love another Souls-like. But if the mostly negative Steam reviews stick, that could be a death sentence. The ball's in Leansy's court now. Either they get this game fixed fast, or it goes down as yet another PC launch disaster.
I should have known.
May I come in?
Fine, but only for a minute.
A minute is all I need.
Indeed.
Well, wait, that came out wrong.